Logan dropped Victoria off just in time for work. As she stepped through the doors, an email notification flashed across her phone. Mandatory executive meeting, conference room A. Victoria knew she still had work on her desk to do from the following week. She straightened her blazer and made her way upstairs. 3 months had passed since her promotion to account manager, and executive meetings had become part of her new normal. Still, something about the atmosphere felt different. The room was already filled when she arrived. Senior leadership sat at the front, smiling as she took her seat. After a brief review of company performance, the CEO stood up and addressed the room. Today, we'd like to recognize an employee whose leadership, integrity, and dedication have had a tremendous impact on this organization. Victoria listened politely. Never imagined the next words would be directed at her. Victoria, please stand. The room erupted in applause. Effective immediately, you are being promoted to account director. In addition to managing your current portfolio, you will oversee multiple accounts and mentor our account managers. For a moment, Victoria simply stared. The long hours, the disappointments, the doors that had closed, the seasons of being overlooked, every challenge had quietly prepared her for this opportunity. As she accepted the promotion, one thought echoed in her heart. Blessings have a way of arriving when you least expect them. Life can change in a single moment. One season, you're fighting to be noticed, wondering if your efforts matter. Then suddenly, you're standing in a place you once prayed to reach, looking back at a journey that made you stronger than you ever realized. Victoria smiled as the applause continued. God had been working behind the scenes all along. As the meeting continued, Victoria learned that there was even more to the promotion than a new title. The compensation package was given to her in a portfolio, and she nearly missed the number the first time she saw it. Her salary would increase by 85,000 per year on top of what she was already earning. Victoria blinked. Then she looked again. The number hadn't changed. In addition to the substantial raise, the company was offering executive level benefits, comprehensive health care coverage, expanded retirement contributions, performance incentives, and perks reserved for the senior leadership. The reality of it all began to settle in. Her life had changed, not overnight, not by chance, not because of luck. It had changed because she refused to quit when things became difficult. Just weeks earlier, she had endured one challenge after the other. There had been uncertainty, accusations, sleepless nights, disappointment, and moments when she questioned whether the pressure would ever let up. Now, looking back, she could see what she couldn't see while walking through it all. Every battle had positioned her for this moment. Every closed door had redirected her. Every delay had prepared her. Victoria quietly bowed her head as applause filled the room around her. No one else could hear the prayer forming in her heart. Thank you, Lord. This wasn't merely a promotion, it was confirmation, a reminder that God had heard every prayer whispered in private, every tear shed when no one was watching, and every request she had placed before Him in faith. Outside of the gift of life itself, this was one of the greatest blessings she had ever experienced. And as she sat there holding back tears, Victoria realized something powerful. God's timing may not always be comfortable, but it is always purposeful. Victoria stared at the documents for a moment before picking up her phone. There were plenty of people she could have called, but only one person came to mind: the plumber. Maybe because she had just left his vehicle about an hour and a half ago. When he answered the phone, she couldn't hide the smile in her voice. "Hey, you." "Hey," he said. "I got promoted again," she said. The words felt almost unreal as she spoke them aloud. As he listened, Victoria shared the news. Her heart was overflowing with gratitude. For a few minutes, the stress, the setbacks, and the uncertainty faded into the background. She simply wanted to tell someone who had been there when things were falling apart. And somehow, sharing this blessing made it feel even more real. It was a long, fulfilling day, and Victoria arrived home. The excitement of the day had begun to settle. As she approached her front door, there was a large bouquet of red roses that sat waiting for her. Victoria stared at them for a moment, letting out a slow sigh. She didn't have to wonder who had sent them. Nash. Shaking her head, she looked down at the arrangement. It was beautiful, but it also reminded her that some people have a way of showing up just when you're finally finding your peace. Victoria carried the roses inside and stood quietly for a moment, staring at them. They were beautiful. For a brief second, she considered keeping them. Then she shook her head. Why would I want a reminder of someone who had ignored my feelings and refused to accept my boundaries? Walking over to the trash can, she paused one last time. Should I call him? Should I send him a text? Should I tell him to stop? The thought crossed her mind, but just as quickly she let it go. No, I'm not going to call him. I'm not going to argue. She wasn't going to explain herself again. Some conversations don't need repeating. Just as Victoria was about to drop the roses into the trash, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen. It was the plumber. No, it was Logan. Yeah, the plumber Logan. A small smile crossed her face as she answered. "Hello?" "Hey, Victoria," he said. "I was hoping you liked them." She frowned. "Liked what?" "The flowers I left you, a surprise at the door." Victoria's eyes immediately shifted to the bouquet hanging over the trash can. "Oh, the flowers were from you," she said. Logan laughed softly. "Yeah, who else would they have been from?" A wave of relief washed over her. Without hesitation, she pulled the roses back from the trash. "Oh, wow," she said, shaking her head. "Yes, I love them. Thank you." "Good," Logan replied. "I was hoping you'd say that." Victoria smiled as she looked down at the bouquet. "That was very thoughtful." There was a brief pause before Logan spoke again. "Actually, I was calling for another reason, too." "Oh?" "I was wondering if you'd let me take you to lunch. Maybe we could celebrate your promotion?" Victoria listened quietly. "I know we met because of plumbing problems," he continued, "but I'd like the chance to get to know you outside of work orders and broken pipes." A smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. Victoria tried to maintain her composure, but the smile spreading across her face made it clearly impossible. "Lunch," she repeated. Logan chuckled on the other end of the line. "Yeah, lunch." Victoria glanced at the roses and shook her head. You know, You're making it very difficult for me to say no. Good, Logan replied. She laughed softly. The entire day had felt like a dream, another promotion, an unexpected blessing, and now this. Okay, she said, unable to hide her excitement. I'd like that. As she ended the call, Victoria stood quietly for a moment, looking at the roses. Life had a funny way of surprising her. Just hours before, she had been celebrating a promotion. Now she found herself smiling over an invitation to lunch from a man who had started out as nothing more than a plumber, answering a service call. And somehow, she was looking forward to seeing him again. Victoria stood quietly in her bathroom, letting the events of the day settle around her. She carefully got on her knees and began to thank God for the promotion, the raise, the flowers, the phone call, the lunch invitation. So much changed in a short space of time. Closing her eyes, she thought about all the days she had cried in this very place, the prayers she had whispered, the questions she had asked, the moments when she wondered if anyone was listening. Now kneeling in the middle of answered prayers, her heart overflowed with gratitude. Not every prayer had been answered the way she expected. Not every blessing had arrived when she wanted. But somehow, God had worked everything together in ways she never could have imagined. Victoria smiled softly. The bamboo was growing. As Victoria knelt there, her grandmother's words drifted through her mind. Baby, don't curse what God is growing. She used to hear those words and wonder what that meant. Now she understood. Just like the bamboo, some blessings spend years developing beneath the surface. Once again, she remembered that before anyone sees the evidence, the roots must grow deep before the stalk can rise high. Victoria smiled. The waiting had not been wasted. The tears had not been wasted. The disappointments had not been wasted. God had been growing something all along.